Good afternoon. You're very welcome to the program. You're listening to SIRAJ ZAIDI Apna radio broadcasting at 93.9 Dublin South FM. Indeed, very welcome to the program. And once again, I'm here with you and you shall be with me. The weather, yes, the extreme weather that we are experiencing all over the world. Here in Dublin, we have a particularly close to 40 degrees. Reminds me of Indian heat. Not that bad, but it's still a very, very hot day. Throughout Europe, the heat is really rising. The fire burning in the jungles, and the jungles are burning and all that. And of course, in Mumbai, the floods are happening in a torrential rain that always happens in this time of the year. And I'll talk about that, the monsoon rain in Mumbai, in Maharashtra. But weather aside, this is the reality of the climate change that we are living in. It wasn't the case when we were growing up, in fact, but during the summertime. But mango season and all that is happening as well. And I hope you're enjoying the mangoes wherever you're getting it from. But this is exactly what we're going to talk about. But plenty of material. Will you believe you me? Today we have an amazing amount of material. And I am full of information today. But sit back, relax, and listen to the news of the week with Charmaine Colvin is here in the studio, talking about the news of the week from India.
Good afternoon, I'm Charmaine Colvin, and here is your weekly news update on Apna Radio 93.9 Dublin South FM. On India this week, US prosecutors have announced the arrest of 24 suspects in the US, Canada and Europe for alleged links to 3 India-based organised crime groups, including the Bishnoi gang. They have been charged with a series of crimes, including orchestrating the 2023 killing in Canada of Sikh leader Hardeep Singh Nijjar outside a British Columbia temple. Federal prosecutors in Los Angeles said the arrests were the result of a years-long federal investigation into Indian crime syndicates that were engaged in targeted killings, extortion and drug trafficking all around the world. In total, 37 defendants have been charged across 3 indictments unsealed on Tuesday. Transnational criminal gangs who spread fear, drugs and violence will face the full force of justice and the weight of the federal government, said First Assistant United States Attorney Bill Asaley in a statement. There is no safe harbour for these thugs. Nijjar, 45, was shot dead 3 years ago in his vehicle by 2 masked gunmen in the busy car park of the Guru Nanak Sikh Gurdwara in Surrey, a city about 30 kilometres east of Vancouver. He was a prominent Sikh separatist leader and publicly campaigned for Khalistan, the creation of an independent Sikh homeland in the Punjab region of India. Federal prosecutors have charged Lawrence Bishnoi, 33, and Sandyajit Goldie Brar Singh, 32, both of Punjab, India, with ordering the assassination of Nijjar, referred to as HSN by prosecutors. Brar remains at large. Bishnoi has been in prison since 2015. Last year, Canada listed the Bishnoi gang as a terrorist entity, allowing the federal government to seize property and freeze money owned by the group in the country. In 2024, 4 Indian nationals were arrested and charged over the killing, which sparked a major diplomatic row between Canada and India. They await trial. The Indian government has directed Meta to immediately disable advertisements and content on Instagram that promote or facilitate child sexual abuse material, a senior official has said. It comes after a BBC investigation found that Instagram has been running paid adverts promoting child sexual abuse material in India, some of which linked users to Telegram channels where the material was offered for sale. The government has also sought an explanation within a week on how advertisements containing such material were allowed on the platform. Meta has said it has a zero-tolerance policy on child sexual abuse material and is continuing to strengthen its detection and defences. Telegram said it had removed more than 274,000 groups and channels related to child sexual abuse material in 2026. The government has issued a stern notice to Meta over child sexual exploitative and abuse material appearing in paid advertisements on Instagram, a senior official in India's Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology said. The official further said the federal ministry had ordered Instagram to disable all ads and content promoting or facilitating access to such material. The government has sought a detailed explanation from Meta within 7 days. On being asked about the government's notice, a Meta spokesperson said the company has a zero-tolerance policy for soliciting or sharing child sexual abuse material, including in ads. We use advanced AI technology to proactively detect violating content and individuals, but we are in a constant battle with criminals who hide among our 3.5 billion users and try to evade our detection, a spokesperson said. The government notice has been issued days after the BBC investigation was published. An Indian court has directed the federal government to unblock the X account of the Youth Cockroach Janata Party, CJP, on Tuesday, more than a month since it went offline after amassing some 200,000 followers within days of being created, its founder and lawyer involved in the case said. The government has justified the move in court by citing concerns that posts from the account could cause chaos during a National Medical College entrance examination that had to be reconducted after its question papers were leaked. The CJP, which has been communicating with its ex-followers via an alternative account, has been holding sit-in protests for the last fortnight, demanding the Education Minister's resignation over the issue. The Delhi High Court order came after the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government said it had no objection to the account being unblocked. CJP founder Abhijit Dipka, in a post on X, termed the decision a big win for the party, the movement, and for free speech and digital rights. The account remained withheld in India on Tuesday evening in response to a legal demand, its page said. The CJP, which describes itself as representing the lazy, the unemployed, and the chronically correct, has almost 22 million followers on its Instagram page. Modi's Bharatiya Janata Party, which has termed the group part of an anti-India gang, has little over 9 million followers. Thousands of forgotten soldiers from pre-partition India who served and died in World War I are finally being recognised in the biggest update to casualty records in more than 80 years. The names of 9,909 British Indian Army servicemen are now being added to the Commonwealth War Graves Commission casualty database after they were uncovered by researchers. UK volunteers spent years looking for the names in unique registers compiled in the state of Punjab shortly after World War I. Work is now being done to trace British descendants of those whose sacrifice is now acknowledged. Around 1.4 million people from the subcontinent, now India, Pakistan and Bangladesh, are known to have served in the British Indian Army in World War I. In the years that followed the war, officials visited every town and village in Punjab in an effort to record the names and fates of each of the 320,000 servicemen who came from that state alone. Following India's partition in 1947, the state of Punjab was split between India and Pakistan. Scores of cracked, fragile leather-bound volumes filled with handwritten records and each embossed with the village name now line shelves at the Lahore Museum in Pakistan. Historians at the Commission say most of the 9,909 men previously omitted from commemoration records were casualties who died of injuries away from the battlefield. Rulings made by the British Indian government at the time meant they were not afforded war grave status, but that decision has been overturned. The CWGC say the new inclusion is not just to preserve the names of those who paid the ultimate sacrifice, but also part of a wider effort to redress Eurocentric views of World War I. And that's all from India this week. You have been listening to Apna Radio 93.9 Dublin South FM.
Thank you so much indeed, Charmaine. A lovely item indeed. A very pertinent information that you have actually put together. Indeed, what is going on in the world in all facets of life is something that I am in mood to talk about it, because that is what matters. And what matters is the information. Radio informs and entertain. That is the two-legs operation, should I say. God has created two in pairs of everything, 2 eyes, 2 legs, 2 hands, and all the rest of it in two. So therefore, radio has got 2 legs as well, inform, entertain. Now, talking about the world of, the weather that I started the program with, is I'll come back to it, but on a serious note, the global information about the situation in the war in the Middle East and what's cooking there is something that is very close to my heart. I do follow it diligently. The mood and the tracks of so-called geopolitical game that has been given. What struck me is that two things. A, Jared Kushner, who the hell is he, by the way? He's not elected member. He's not a politician. He's a son-in-law of a despicable individual. And that's all his credibility is all about. He is now meddling in Albania. Yes, Albania, developing property development, land grabbing and land encroachment going on there and all that. And Albanians are really shocked to hear about this. So these guys don't have any morals. We all know that. They can't do anything in their own country. They have to go abroad. They have to go to a weaker country. And the countries which do not have powerful muscles to resist them. But then those who have powerful muscles to resist them is something they, refer them to, oh, they're sick people. Yes, Donald Trump has said that recently at the visit to in Turkey. Yes. Why he's in Turkey? Because Turkey is a NATO headquarter right now and an important ally in NATO. And he's literally begging NATO to get involved in the Strait of Hormuz and to give it, because Iranians are not budging. Iranians are giving them a toughest fight forever to teach the lessons to their 5 generations to come, that they dare to venture out in the Middle East in this way. Yes, they have been very successful in Libya and Iraq. Talking about Iraq is the name who is now Sayyid Ali Zaidi, who is now heading the Iraq as a prime minister, my namesake, and perhaps we do have a stretch-back relationship before we move to India, come from Iraq. Sayyid Ali Zaidi is a young man, ex-banker and all that, and he is the one who is actually telling the Americans to get out from Iraq. Yes, because what is happening in Iraq, would you believe any country would sell the oil through American market or through American dollars, and then the sales proceed of that will return back to the country in a truckload of plane in cash. What an absurd operation going on here. And millions and billions of dollars do fly in every week, literally every week, in a plane load of dollars and, the money that has been circulating. So, you must investigate into it, and you must see what's going on there and how this system has been set up. Perhaps Obama was there when it was set up, that Iraq cannot sell their own oil in a free market. They have to sell it. By the way, all is going to be changed because the Iranians are now getting into control and in charge of the Strait of Hormuz. And therefore, even Iraqi oil would be managed by them. The rest of the world oil will be managed. But this nonsense practice that you cannot sell the oil just because after losing the war in Iraq, they've grabbed it and they said, okay, the only way we will let you live is that if you sell the oil through us, and we will send you back the cost of it. How much? How much comes back? How much the oil is sold? And God knows. Anybody's guess. This is another absurd operation of the world, of that part of the world that is happening. However, the Iranians have actually gave them a kick in their teeth, big time, which is a mild expression, to be honest with you. They really are beating the shit of them because they're firing again the missiles and telling the Americans to literally bugger off from the area. The sooner you bugger off from the area, leave the area, the better for everybody else. We are in charge of this region. The Strait of Hormuz belongs to us. There are 2 narrow passages. One goes through the Strait of Hormuz, the left side, and the right side goes through Iran. Iran side is the Iranian territory water, and the Oman side is the Omani territory water. But they have an agreement with Oman, and the entire strait belongs to Iran. However, the ships are being attacked because they're not obeying the rule, and if they would not obey the rule, they will be attacked. As simple as that. So this is something. The 1 week commemoration ceremony, which is conducted by the Iranian government throughout Tehran, throughout Iran, throughout Iraq, of the grand burial ceremony of Ayatollah Khamenei, the Rahbar, the spiritual leader that they killed, mercilessly, over bombing and all that, has been referred as a grandiose, a lavish ceremony. What are these words? Lavish? What do you mean by lavish? If over 300 countries have decided to come over to Iran to pay their respects to the to the Ayatollah Khamenei's final farewell bid, and of course, few people I know. You truly were also invited, but I didn't go. But I know a few people went from Ireland as well, Tara O'Grady, and all that. So many people have actually decided to go there, and it's been referred as, let alone the coverage. We are reluctant to do any sort of coverage on our national television. It was a brief coverage yesterday after 2 days of a huge response from the world, because they've turned the whole country into the commemorational spirit, and the lack of international coverage is shocking. But there you go. Nothing new about it, because Donald Trump referred to us as a sick people. They said, I'm not going to deal with them. I cannot negotiate with them. They are sick people. Who's sick, actually? We all know who is mentally sick. And anyway, that is a big news, and it is happening out there in the Middle East in the midst of all the other jigs in the reel. And the 2 months truce, what we're talking about, is the pause. Is hardly a pause, because tit for tat is happening already, and the missiles are fired from both sides and all that. So the Americans are not in the mood to quit. Neither the Iranians are. The Iranians are vow to defeat them completely. Only then they will breathe a fresh air. Anyway, that is the state of affair in the Middle East, and life is trying to get back to normal in terms of airports in the Middle East and all that, which were hit badly. But that can go anytime. Back into the action. This is a very important thing in India. What is happening in India? You've heard from Charmaine. What else is happening in India is shocking. Yes, shocking, literally shocking. A film called Satluj, which is about 1995 riots on Sikh and the atrocities committed on the Sikh community in India in 1995 to suppress the uprising of the revenge of the Sikh community. There, it was a brutal suppression. And who did that? That has been revealed in a film called Satluj. Satluj is a Punjabi name, and it is a brilliant film I have seen, but that film is banned after 3 or 4 days of releasing on OTT platform. It has been pulled out. Now, in this day and age, in 2026, films are still getting pulled out and banned. How can you ban a critical work, an artistic work of Hani Trehan, I've spoken to him, the director, who used to be an assistant director and casting director and all that, a hard-working director, who did a brilliant job on this film called Satluj. And it's actually, we used to call Punjab 95, but then they changed the title a few times, 4 years in the making and delayed and all that. And finally, excuse me, beg your pardon. Finally, the film is out. The film is out. I've seen it, and I could not sleep that night. It is so powerful. That is exactly my logic doing the film festival, and because it is a medium of such a powerful audiovisual medium to tell the world what is what. And the starring of that is obviously the delectable Sardarji of the Bollywood industry. Diljit Dosanjh is the lead role, who played the cholera, the guy who started investigation on the disappearance of thousands of people. And it starts from the fact that they were all being massacred. And it was one of the biggest massacre took place in Punjab, and their dead bodies were being burnt and thrown out in the canal in Punjab. And that's where the investigation starts. And finally, it fires back on him because he knew that it's going to fire back on him. And how they killed him is a brilliant, brutal story, brilliantly acted, brilliantly, written, a tightly written script. This is a piece of art. This is exactly artistic expression. And that's what the movies are all about. Movies are all about a great script, a fantastic acting, a brilliant direction, and of course, mixing with sound and all that. And that makes a film a great film. Performance-wise, acting, let me talk about the three actors who were in the sterling roles. First of all, of course, Diljit Dosanjh, who played the lead role of Kalra. And then the second lead was Vicky Satwinder Singh, who's also a brilliant Punjabi actor, but he got a chance to act in this movie as Sugga, Spectre Sugga. And then the third important IPG officer, Indian Supreme Police Officer, the IPS officer, is Kanwaljit Singh, who's a very well known to all viewers who probably would know. He's a television actor. He's done theatre. He's done amazing amount of films and all that. The tall actor, very tall actor, Kanwaljit Singh. And he's got a beautiful, small role, but a beautiful role. And then, of course, you have Arjun Rampal. How can I forget? CBI officer. CBI officer Arjun Rampal. And so therefore, I got panic when I heard that this film is banned. And I really, literally talked to some people in Mumbai, my contacts, and managed to secure the print of the film. Yes, I got the print. It's a great film, and I have it. And it will be our opening film on the 11th of September here in Dublin. Yes, it will not generally released in the cinema, but the only way to see the cinema is on my festival opening film on the 11th of September here at the Nutgrove Cinema at 6 p.m. So that is a good news and a big news, because good news and big news don't come that easily and rarely comes by. But there you go. So I have something to share, and I'm happy to share this. The Satluj will be shown here in Dublin just a couple of months. Please wait with me. And I'm trying to get one of the actors from the film as well. Hopefully, I'll succeed in bringing at least one actor. Today, I had a bit of bad news because Arjun Rampal, who's a very big star in India, texted me back to say, Siraj, I'm really sorry. I'm shooting another film on those days of your festival, because these are really busy actors and they get busier when their films get hit. And that's the way the name of the game of the industry is. Industry thrives on something who's hot, who is not. And that is what it is, industry. But before I take another big chapter on drugs in India, which is Sharad has put together, and drug menace in India, and that is something that I'm really in mood to play, which is, again, I'm commended, really, it's a commendable job, would I say, what Sharad has done on the shocking evidence of the many things shocking going on, such as this banning of this film, Satluj. On what basis? That it will create a social disharmony? Well, it was a case. It was based on true event. So what kind of social harmony are we talking about? Or the current present regime is scaredy cat, because they really cannot stomach anything controversial. Anyway, that's a big day's work and another day's work, and I'll talk about that, what is going on in the political hemisphere. But there you go. Here's a drug story which will raise your hair.
Today, if I told you that India is on the trajectory to damage and destroy its social fabric, as it happened in countries like Mexico, you may say that it is a profound and an alarmist proclamation. But then hear me out and decide for yourself how this trajectory is looking right now. There was a time when Himachal Pradesh, the simple, innocent state of northern India. Its association with narcotics was just with growing wild marijuana, the ganja, in its valleys, and it was tolerated by police then. But then that comfort currently does not hold. Now it has transformed into synthetic form of heroin, and locally it is known as chitta. And that has spread rapidly like an epidemic through the state's towns and villages, and the speed at which it has spread amongst people of all ages, that has left the police, the court, the families, the innocent families who had not been out of state, the villages. They are now struggling to keep up. And the method is very simple: social media, where peddlers avoid meeting buyers altogether. They drop a small packet in one corner of the street, say in a drain pipe or in a crack on the walls of the street, and they share the location through photograph or voice note and then collect the payment through digital transfer. With this modernization of criminal behavior, it is faceless, it is untraceable, and increasingly ordinary. Now here comes the stark reality. The state government data suggests that close to 1/3, 33% of Himachal's young people, they have been involved with drug use, with synthetic substances now being dominant. And the police caseload tells its own story. About 600 cases have been registered under Narcotics, Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act in India in first quarter itself. And there have been many arrests. And the problem that is leading one after another is that while the law enforcement wants to be strict, now the courts are clogged with about 10,000 drug-related cases in the Himachal's judiciary last year itself. And the bulk of the matters that is pending with the lawyers in the capital of Himachal, Shimla, they are related to drugs. Now the entire judicial system is under stress. The state's prison population is now held under NDPS Act, the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Prevention Act. And many of them in the prisons are first-time offenders. And instead of punishments, they need treatment. But then there is no proper policy thinking that is going on at this moment, because this entire pandemic of drugs, synthetic drugs, that has come all of a sudden in a couple of years' time. Similarly, the deaths have risen because of the overdose. Now, all these problems are relatively known because India has been facing all these drug-related problems for quite some time now. Just that earlier, the society was able to identify those into addiction of these synthetic drugs. But what is so different here in these current times? There is a troubling social pattern. The addicts are frequently recruited into this peddling network, and initially they are promised free doses, and that is to draw in their friends and family in order to sustain their habits. So it has become a pyramid scheme of recruiting more and more friends and relatives from the knowns in order to create a trusted network, in order to get free doses, and of course be part of the addiction gang. And if you look at the accounts, and if you look at the social fabric currently, entire household. So for example, a father is imprisoned for peddling and the son is fighting addiction. And the story goes that the elderly parents are introduced to the drug by their own children. Why? Because that is given as a reason for relief to joint pain, which subsequently, as we understand, have become an addiction. Social fabric crisis, which is unforeseen in a small, innocent state like Himachal Pradesh, which has never been in a major news, I would recollect, for decades together. We had Punjab problem, which was dealing initially with terrorism, separatism, separatist movements, then drugs and cancer. But then Himachal Pradesh has been relatively very silent. So this is a rot. This is termite within the social fabric of Himachal Pradesh, and that is where my serious concerns are. So the state has begun mapping the crisis formally, and they are trying to sort out the local municipalities and panchayats in the category. There are about 250 municipalities or panchayats in red zone. And what has been uncovered with this uncomfortable truth is that dozens of police personnel and government employees, they themselves have been implicated in trafficking or consumption of this synthetic drug. So the government is in panic, not so much to stop this menace, but they are at loss of a solution. One very minor step the government services have taken is to introduce drug test before joining. I think this is way too little a step, small a step for such a big problem. So now the question comes, where does this poison come from? As we know, Himachal Pradesh produces none of this heroin itself. It sits downstream of a very strong, embedded trafficking architecture. And this architecture has plagued North India for decades together, as we just mentioned. India's misfortune is that in narcotic terms, in geography, the country is wedged between the Golden Crescent, like the Afghanistan, Pakistan and Iran, and they are world's dominant opium producing belt. And on the east is the Golden Triangle of Myanmar, Burma, Laos and Thailand. So once this opium is grown, it is refined into heroin, and Afghanistan, which has the most popular poppy fields, they are the most productive in this area. When the new Taliban government was formed in, I think, 2021, they did ban the poppy fields. They did ban the poppy economy, but it was too big for them to stop that. So there was a nominal ban, but then the poppy grows and it moves through Pakistan and crosses into the Indian border through Punjab's border districts like Amritsar, Taran, Firozpur and Fazilka. And then it fans out across the country. Well, Punjab is not the only border state which is porous to the drug movement. Punjab has also recorded the new age technology usage of drones in order to bring in heroin and weapons and ammunitions. And as many as 283 drone incursions have been recorded. How many actual have happened, we don't know. And what is so surprising, that the borders of Punjab, Kashmir, Rajasthan, these are the most heavily guarded borders of India with Pakistan. And still, we see that there is an infiltration of drugs, weapons, ammunitions, and including terror. So, I am trying to point my fingers onto those responsible for the Indian border security, both at the national level and at the state level. And over the period, the drugs coming into India, they have found its robust roots through courier infrastructure and had exploited legitimate trade routes, digital transactions through encrypted social media messaging systems. In fact, many of the transactions are through cryptocurrency, so they just vanish in the thin air. This is a tough situation. We had stories about few ton of drugs being caught at the private port in Gujarat. Not much news was made because the port belonged to one of the leading business houses of India, who is close to the central government. And we see news of drugs being caught, but they are in few kilograms. So they are not even a punctuation in the entire interstate financiers and the interstate cartel that is operating in India. It's a national issue. Narco-terrorism has been fueling unrest in Jammu, Kashmir and Punjab. And now it is destroying the youth and the social fabric of India, especially when people of all ages are involved in the trafficking and consumption of the synthetic drugs. Now I come back to the story where we started. What's the Mexican warning? So what happens when the nation loses this contest of drug infiltration and the consumption, addiction of drugs in India? So Mexico offers a stark cautionary tale, and that's available anywhere in the world. So in Mexico, it happened as a small-time smuggling organization decades ago, which slowly then evolved into cartels like Sinaloa cartel, like Jalisco cartel, and there are others. And with the drug money, they have been able to strengthen their courier network, strengthen their resources, fortify their physical locations, buy weaponry, sophisticated, often much better than the Mexican National Army. And they are able to challenge the authority of the country. Those who are understanding the Mexican way of doing things currently, the social fabric has been torn apart. Communities are displaced by fear of retribution. The businesses are extorted into silence. And a generation, many generations are growing up amidst violence. And this violence is so normalized that it's a way of life. And the health workers, when they started documenting widespread post-traumatic stress among ordinary civilians, as early as 15 years ago in 2010, they have found that the damage is so deeply embedded that it cannot be healed in 1 or even 2 generations. We are also seeing some similar shadows of corruption in the police and the government officials because they are faced with the notorious choice of accepting a bribe or facing violence. Because of the cartels, the culture of bully and the control, this has become so pervasive in Mexico that it is becoming very difficult for the security forces to contain them. The cases of homicide in Mexico is very high, and you would be surprised with this number. 1/5 of the country's GDP, Mexico's GDP, 20%. That's the economic cost of violence in Mexico. So that is India's trajectory if the drug menace is not stopped in India. Of course, India is not Mexico, but culturally, the methods used by the cartels is nearly the same as we are witnessing in Mexico. And it takes decades. It's not just overnight thing that is going to creep into India. Today, it is not a national debate. Hindu-Muslim is a national debate. The social fabric of the country should be the national debate. What stops the Indian Prime Minister talking about the drug menace in his monthly radio broadcast to the nation? It's a serious matter. So what's ahead? While we see the country, the state governments are failing to stop the smuggling networks, and we do not have enough resources for rehabilitation, and slowly more and more people are getting recruited either into peddling or into consumption. So this is a 3-way contest, and like Punjab, Himachal Pradesh is next and India is losing. With those disturbing thoughts and a serious concern about the future of social fabric in India, while taking the learnings from far west from Mexico, I leave you until next week. Stay safe, stay informed, dutifully ask questions. At the end of the day, somebody has to stand up. Bye for now.
Dublin South FM. You wouldn't buy a car without knowing its history. So why would you buy a story without knowing who's telling it? Come here and I tell you. Dublin South FM. You wouldn't buy a car without knowing its history. So why would you buy a story without knowing who's telling it? Come here and I tell you. It's not always easy to verify what you see, read or hear. But now there's help. Visit www.bemediasmart.ie. Stop, think, check. Be Media Smart. Brought to you by Media Literacy Ireland, supported by RTE. 93.9 Dublin South FM.
Indeed, welcome back to the program. That is 93.9 Dublin South FM. Thank you so much, Sharath, for highlighting the drug issue like Mexico, like any other country in the world. We are also witnessing in Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, and the rest of the India, which is gripping. And in fact, it's northern states rather than, and of course, Uttar Pradesh as well, which you have loosely covered that. But the most important states are indeed highlighted by in your program. That is something driven by the necessity, because drugs have got money in it, and it is a cartel. The drug gangs who operate. The many films have been made. Urta Punjab is coming to my head at the moment straight away, that how drugs have played. But all these things happen when the country actually disengages with the youth and does not give a hope to a youth, because then where the people would go, where the young people would go, I mean, they would resort to the drugs and things like that, and drink. And drink is also very much readily available in India, Indian metropolitan city, but that could be expensive. And here is a drug, with various names, as you can say that, cocaine, heroin, marijuana, ganja, all of that is very much popular names for the local drugs that is riddled with, India is riddled with that. So that is something very disturbing. What else is happening quietly is the preparation behind the scene after the fall of Bengal from the local election, is the fall in a sense that Bengal is now belonging to the ruling party, BJP, and indeed what is happening is a rampage of the blatant brutality of burning mosques, demolishing mosques, businesses, street, in the name of the clearing the streets and all that. But what is happening behind all the scene is the silent preparation for changing the constitution of India. That came to my attention recently, and I'll play that clip sometime next week, indeed, when somebody will send it to me in English version of that, because I do have Hindi version of that, but that's not good enough for my listeners. Anyway, what is happening, because the constitution cannot be changed as easily. It has to go through the Supreme Court. It has to go through the various channels. But if you have in the parliament majority party, have a majoritarian seats, 336 seats or 33 seats, whatever the number is, you can change the constitution and do it what you like. And that is something very, very, very disturbing in the background that is happening, that might happen in the next future. But in a country like India, anything can possibly can happen, because it's a country of 1.4 billion people, and indeed controlled and cajoled and brutally owned by, I said the word owned by. Yes, there is a feeling going on around there that states, if they have a majoritarian states have got majority, they would be considered that state. Anyway, that is something very disturbing. And before I move on to the next item, which is also an interesting item that I'm really like to play, and that is my favorite topic, and that is the songs of the week. And so therefore, sit back, relax, and enjoy the songs of the week. And I'll take the first two tracks.
लिखे जो खत तुझे वो तेरी याद में हजारों रंग के नजारे बन गए लिखे जो खत तुझे वो तेरी याद में हजारों रंग के नजारे बन गए सवेरा जब हुआ तो फूल बन गए जो रात आई तो सितारे बन गए लिखे जो खत तुझे कोई नगमा कहीं गूंजा कहा दिल ने ये तू आई कहीं चटकी कली कोई मैं ये समझा तू शर्माई कोई खुशबू कहीं बिखरी लगा ये जुल्फ लहराई लिखे जो खत तुझे वो तेरी याद में हजारों रंग के नजारे बन गए सवेरा जब हुआ तो फूल बन गए जो रात आई तो सितारे बन गए लिखे जो खत तुझे फिजा रंगी अदा रंगी ये इठलाना ये शर्माना ये अंगड़ाई ये तन्हाई ये तरसा कर चले जाना बना देगा नहीं किसको जवा जादू ये दीवाना लिखे जो खत तुझे वो तेरी याद में हजारों रंग के नजारे बन गए सवेरा जब हुआ तो फूल बन गए जो रात आई तो सितारे बन गए लिखे जो खत तुझे तू सावन है, मेरी दुनिया ये नजरें है, मेरी जन्नत ये दामन है। लिखे जो खत तुझे वो तेरी याद में हजारों रंग के नजारे बन गए। सवेरा जब हुआ तो फूल बन गए, जो रात आई तो सितारे बन गए। लिखे जो खत तुझे एहसान तेरा होगा मुझ पर, दिल चाहता है वो कहने दो मुझे, तुमसे मोहब्बत हो गई है मुझे, पलकों की छाँव में रहने दो। एहसान तेरा होगा मुझ पर, दिल चाहता है वो कहने दो मुझे, तुमसे मोहब्बत हो गई है मुझे, पलकों की छाँव में रहने दो। एहसान तेरा होगा मुझ पर। सिखाया तुमने मुझको हंसना सिखाया, रोने कहोगे रो लेंगे अब, रोने कहोगे रो लेंगे। आंसू का हमारे गम न करो, वो बहते हैं तो बहने दो मुझे, तुमसे मोहब्बत हो गई है मुझे, पलकों की छाँव में रहने दो। एहसान तेरा होगा मुझ पर। मर भी गए तो देंगे दुआएं, मर भी गए तो देंगे दुआएं। उड़ उड़ के कहेगी खाक सनम ये दर्द मोहब्बत, सहने दो मुझे, तुमसे मोहब्बत हो गई है मुझे, पलकों की छाँव में रहने दो। एहसान तेरा होगा मुझ पर, दिल चाहता।
Jimmy, that is Rafi Sahab at his best. These are the super hit gane and songs by Mr. No other than Mohammed Rafi, who is immortal in his golden voice. These hit tracks that I cannot avoid playing in my show every now and then. I do try to touch base with these songs because I think this voice can never be compared with. I mean, there's a lot of things. Talking about the concerts and, all of that, there's another concert coming up in August, and I'll try to bring the organizer here in the studio called Mr. Sanjay, who is organizing Javed Ali's concert in the CJ Convention Centre of Ireland, CJI. This is a new market opening up for a lot of concert people, the people who really are believing into enjoying the live concert like London. London is very common, and Birmingham, Manchester and all that. But now Dublin is can afford it, because Dublin people can afford 60 quid, 70 quid, 100 quid And the black market of these tickets are incredible. But that is happening without the eyes of the system. And the other thing which is happening under the eyes of system, I don't want to mention on that, which I know only, but that is something that these people who are organizing are incredibly hardworking people, and organizing, bringing the artist here, and bearing the financial burden. But somehow the other, a few weeks ago, in fact, 2 weeks ago, there was a big superstar from south of India, Mohan Lal, was here. And would you believe on Monday, who goes to see a concert on Monday? But it was packed in 3 Arena. So this is something very interesting happening in our world, a landscape, cultural landscape of Dublin. And I'm not sure about the outside Dublin. Oh yes, talking about the cultural landscape, sports is another huge area. And I must share the news that our own delectable Shah Rukh Khan has actually built up 200 million worth of cricket stadium in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, would you believe? And he's popularizing cricket in America, which is getting popular by building up this massive stadium. Kolkata Knight Riders, his team and all that, they own it. I'm sure they will be under radar and they will come under pressure with the current regime. Now the landscape in Calcutta has changed. After Didi is gone, after Mamata Banerjee's government is no longer there, who used to support Shah Rukh blindly, Now, so there will be, and it is the biggest money spinner for his economy. I call it Shah Rukh Khan's economy because he's an economist in a brilliant way with his partners, Jay Mehta, Juhi Chawla and all that. And these people are business people, heavily business people. So therefore, he's built up this massive stadium and IPL team will be played there. And because of the pace of this man, I love the pace of this man, that whatever he has a Midas touch, as we call it, that he turns into a gold, all of that. And I'm sure here in Ireland, there are some noises going on. Of course, the T20, the European T20 happened. ETL, as we call it, European T20, ETPL, and European T20 happened at the grounds in Malahide. And it'll happen in Scotland, it'll happen in Holland. And that is a European league owned by no other than Abhishek Bachchan and Rahul Dravid. So cricket is also catching up with the world. And IPL, the money spinner. Many films have been made actually I was watching recently the film called Azharuddin, and it's called Azhar. And the film is all about match fixing. And that was an accusation made on Azharuddin for making millions of rupees profit by doing this kind of nonsense. Anyway, they were a beautiful film, and that has happened. I'll stay with the song, and then I'll talk about another system.
मेरे यार ए हुस्न वाले, ए मेरे यार ए हुस्न वाले, दिल किया मैंने तेरे हवाले, तेरी मर्जी पे अब बात ठहरी, जीने दे चाहे मार डाले, तेरे हाथों में अब मेरी जान है। आज मौसम बड़ा बेईमान है, बड़ा बेईमान है। आज मौसम आने वाला
That's another beautiful song of Muhammad Rafi. That is one of my favorite songs. And with that, time has really run out for me because I really want to continue talking about things that I really love talking about on radio and trying to reach you as much as I can, the information. But as I said, two legs of the radio, entertainment is also vital. And I try to actually give you some sort of interesting tracks during my show. And I hope you enjoy the show today. I shall be back sometime, same place next week. Very many thanks for listening. And I'll leave you with this beautiful song. And bye for now. Enjoy the weekend. It's a hot one. And so therefore, have a hot summer weekend. Bye for now.
जाने जा तुमने मुझे देखा के सहरा में रुकते चलते होते इन होठों की हसरत में तपते जलते होते मेहरबान हो गई जुल्फ की बदलियां जाने मन जाने जा तुमने मुझे देखा होकर मेहरबान रुक गई ये ज़मीन थम गया आसमान जाने मन जाने जा तुमने मुझे देखा